Hi everyone, welcome back to Eat, Read, Sleep. We have a very, very special episode for you today. We thought it'd be fun for the holidays to kind of do a 6-month look back on our journey from when we quit our jobs to, doing this Eat, Read, Sleep full time, and what we've learned along the way, the trouble, any kind of fun that we've had, also as well as any kind of experience that we want to share with you guys, especially people who are trying to just also start fulfilling their dreams. We thought it'd be a really good way to kind of recap how the first 6 months have been. So
Absolutely. I also want to address some of the questions that
yes.
some people have been asking as well. A lot of our close friends and family have been asking a lot of the same similar
Hmm.
themed questions. So we want to answer those and get those into your guys' curious minds too.
Let's recap.
Okay.
6 month look back. So we quit our jobs around what,
End of
June,
May.
end of May,
Yeah.
end of
I
May,
quit
right?
end of May. I think you were a little bit
In
after
June,
me.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we decided, okay, we're gonna obviously take care of our families first. We had some stuff we wanted to go
Check
over.
out our We
Yes.
Quit video
Yeah, that
if
one
you
kind of
don't
goes
know
in
our
depth.
story.
Yeah, it goes in depth of why we came to the place where we had to quit our jobs and also start doing this as well. Very much a thing that you and I had talked about a lot because we had a podcast that we were doing. We
Mhm.
really promoted out to the world. We
Nope.
just kind of did it for ourselves.
Yep. Therapy.
Therapy sessions that we
Talk
would have,
therapy.
and then we started to also say, okay, you know what, let's just take it mainstream. Let's go fully in depth into it. And we loved books because we would always read books. We would discuss it while we were driving and talk about this is the takeaways and stuff like
Yep.
that. So
Mhm.
that's what kind of sparked the whole thing. Like, yeah, we should probably do this full time. It's kind
Yeah.
of cool. How have the last 6 months been?
It's If I had to sum it up in one word, there's a lot of words, but I would
Yes.
say the first thing that comes to my mind is freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
Agreed.
about you? What's the one word?
I think freedom too.
Yeah.
I think and happiness. I
Yes.
think for me, a lot of it is finally being comfortable
Mhm.
with controlling my day to day. I
Yes.
think that's something that I really struggled with, especially in the old job. Like a lot of times, even though we were salary, we could make our own schedule. We never
Mhm.
really had our own schedule. We had
Yeah.
to do things we had to do at a certain time.
Yeah.
But this is fully like immersed into our own schedule,
Yeah.
and we're doing things that we truly, truly love to do,
Yes.
right? Like I've always had an itch for filmmaking, for making YouTube videos,
Mhm.
production, and this was finally my way of saying, okay, you know what, I'm gonna go fully into because I think I'm gonna be very, very, very happy with where I'm at.
Yeah.
Whether or not successful or not, that was to be determined.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I finally feel like I can wake up every day and say, hey, I'm actually living out what I thought about.
To go off of that, you said the word successful, right? And I
Yes.
think a lot of people think of success as a destination. Like
Hmm.
when you achieve something, then you will be successful. And I've learned to think of success differently
Hmm.
in that it is your journey and your progress. It's not necessarily a destination, it's more of a state of being.
Yeah.
And I feel successful in what we're doing
Hmm.
because, like you said, we're doing what we love to do. And when it starts to feel exhausting
Hmm.
or competing with some of our priorities, it's easier for us to just give ourselves grace and step
Hmm.
back and say like it's okay, I need to break now, or we need to kind of shift things around
Yeah.
because this is what I need in this moment in time, and we don't have that shame or that guilt in doing that like we used to have with our
Yes.
jobs, right? Like
Very true.
even calling out sick before, like it was always like a guilty feeling,
Yeah.
and then not just feeling guilty but then knowing that you come back to all of this work.
Yeah.
And there have been so many times in the past 6 months where either I've been sick or my kids have been sick,
Hmm.
and I had to pick up the phone and be like, T, we got to cancel today.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, cool. Like we'll pivot and we'll switch and change our schedule. And so
Exactly.
that freedom and the autonomy that allows us to kind of to direct and guide our life in
Hmm.
a way that feels good to us
Hmm.
has been very rewarding. And I think that to me is success.
Yes, I agree. And I think another way we can measure success is just by the love that we've gotten from the community, right?
Yes.
Like a lot of you guys are
Hmm.
reaching out to us and kind of sharing your own stories, also kind of being very proud of what we've done.
Yeah.
And again, wasn't just for us to like showcase or something like that. It's more like it was a life thing that we had to really look back on and actually tackle on. So, we had a lot of things that we had personally that was going on. We said, okay, you know what? We need to make this change happen, and we took it by the horns. So that was something that I'm
Yeah.
very proud of for us doing.
Going into Eat, Read, Sleep, we had
Yeah.
said like the one thing that we want to get out of this is if we can help just one other person the way
Hmm.
that it has helped us in terms of talking about these books
Hmm.
and helping us see a different perspective in life and just feeling at peace with ourselves, if we could help anyone else
Yeah.
out, like that is all that we want. And I'm like so just honored and I feel so blessed to have people reach out
Hmm.
and actually tell me, and I know you have heard it too, like stories of how they just see things differently and
Hmm.
how they're reading books now and how they feel inspired to read more books, and that just to me is why we do this.
Yeah, I agree. So in the last 6 months, what have been the most growth you've seen in yourself? What's been the most biggest growth?
My I think my husband would argue, but I think my patience in
Um,
life, and T would probably argue
like,
as well. No, but
okay.
I think my patience in my own self,
Hmm.
whether or not it's being displayed outward, I think the first work is internal.
Hmm.
And for me, letting go of some of the expectations. I
Hmm.
think we've talked
Right.
about it a lot. Expectations has always kind of driven me and my response, and how I respond quickly to things. So now it's kind of taking a step back and saying, like, what is the bigger picture? Does this really matter right now? Is this really that big of a deal? And
Hmm.
then kind of being okay with that. We've had to do that a lot of times
Hmm.
where we initially were like, this is our plan, this is what we're going to do, this is our schedule. And then we'd have to deviate. And the former clean would be like, no, 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 we have to do it this way.
Right.
This is what we set. How many times, we have a new client coming up that we've had to like change our schedule multiple
Hmm.
times. And each time it's okay, great.
Yeah.
Like, let's just do it. It is what it is. Let's move it around and figure it out. And it hasn't been as difficult as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Like, I think before I was very inflexible. So now having a little more flexibility and a lot more patience and understanding, it puts my heart at ease. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel as tense and as stressed as before.
Yeah, I can see that because and I mean, and I joke because you have gotten much more patient, and I think a lot of that, because before I think when you were at work, you were very structured. You were
Mhm.
by the book. You kind of planned out your entire day, like every 30-minute increment was like Kalina would have something in her calendar nonstop to see what that she was doing. And I think you've really, taken on the fact that you can just kind of enjoy the moment, enjoy what's going on that day versus like being on a schedule, being so
Yeah.
strict with yourself. So I would say I kind of rubbed off on you that way because
Yes, for sure.
I'm definitely much more like, oh, let's just go with the flow, let's see what happens. Whereas for me, I think I've become a little more structured. So it's the good and bad, right? Like it's finally that I'm finally like, we gotta get this deadline. I want to make sure we get this on time, and so I'm on a schedule myself. So it's a yin and a yang thing
Yes,
kind of thing,
I've
right?
seen that growth in you, and
Yeah.
it is pretty cool because you, and when you don't meet your own deadlines, I can
Mm.
see that you sit and you're like, oh
Yeah.
man, I need to get better, I need to do this, and you
Right.
reflect, and then you turn around and bounce back really quickly to get things out the way that you want to, and I see that, so
Yeah.
really cool with that.
Working with me for
Hmm.
6 months. How has
Oh,
that
has it
been? I
only
mean,
been six
so
months?
we've been friends for a while, but it's the first time we have actually worked together in a long project like this.
I
So,
think it's the first time that we've really worked together in this magnitude too,
hmm.
where we are co-partners and
Hmm.
co-founder of Eat Read Sleep and Lions Latitude, and it's been genuinely, honestly, very great because I have um all of my areas of opportunities and weaknesses you fill, and
Hmm.
it's this relationship where it's like, oh, I need this, and you're like, got it, done. And then
Hmm.
likewise, and you're like, oh, I need this, I'm like, all right, let's do it. So it's like this really great relationship that we help fill in each other, and there's really it helps us quickly delegate.
Hmm.
And I think before it was harder in our previous job because it was like expected to be the subject matter expert
Yes,
of everything, and you
true.
couldn't lean on someone for help and support. Whereas in our relationship, it's like you have to lean on the
Yeah,
other person to support. And
right.
of all of the books that we've read right now, we're reading Make Your Bed, right? We really learned that like you need to have other people
Hmm.
help you. You can't row the boat by yourself. And I think
Yes.
that's been really great.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's exactly what I would think too. I think we kind of balance each other out a lot in that
Hmm.
aspect because there are things to like the PR side or even just, learning how to even speak on camera. Like I'm not very good at it, but she's very natural at it too. So I think just, me taking some of the things that you do on when you're on camera like has helped me
Hmm.
myself as well. And you do a really good job of pushing me because I think I mentioned in the previous podcast I would always say like, no, we can't do that. I can't do that. And you're always just like, no, we can't do it yet. I know you can do it. Let's look it up. Let's see how we can do it. You're always pushing me to go one extra step, which I never did because I was always just like, I can't do that. Like, it's not gonna happen. So I would just leave it there. But you're always like, okay, well, can you do it this way? And then eventually from what she asked me to do versus what it ended up happening, that's exactly what asked me in the first place. But I would say no, and you would tell me tweak it, tweak it, tweak it, until I actually came to that point. And I was like, you know how many videos I have to watch to do this? And
But then what
but then I
happened?
learned, and
Like,
I'm like, okay, that was pretty cool actually. So I appreciate you pushing me in that aspect too.
okay, so what's been the most difficult part in the past 6 months?
Ooh. Um, I think the difficult part has been for me just not being able to still get to where I envision
Okay.
my personal growth to be at, right? So I imagine like, and this is a very honest thing. Like I imagine after I quit, I'm just gonna become this super like hippie, like guys, go with the flow. There's still a drive in me that I still want to pursue. And I want to
Which is
get,
good though.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I still have that, right? So I have that discipline now. I want to get to it. So I'm not there yet. And for me, because of my old job, I was so used to saying, okay, if I want to get to that position, I'm just gonna do this, this, and this, and I'm gonna get there. This with this new venture where it's much more broad, right? There's a
Yeah.
lot of things that life will throw at you, a lot of opportunities that will come your way, and I'm just like, okay, I still want to get to that spot, and for me, it's taking a while, continuing to drive me forward. At the same time, just like I want to get there, but
Yeah.
it's exciting because it's still like I'm learning so many things. I'm learning all these new things every single day to get me there,
Yeah.
but. I think that's been one of the things that I struggle with because I'm so driven to the point that I want to get to that spot, and I guess it does fuel me though.
Yeah.
How about you?
Difficult. It's more internal. I think I do battle with what you say as well, but I feel like I've gotten a lot better with it because
Mhm,
when you say like you have a destination, I actually don't
mhm,
anymore. Like I'm just so excited to wake up every day and be like, what's on the docket today? What are we going to do? And every day I feel like we shift and change courses.
mhm.
Like we're gonna be starting a PR company, a
Right.
production company that came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
And then I shared with you what I wanted to do next after that. It's just things that just pop up and that just feels right. And there's really no guideline or direction because that's
Mhm.
what I wanted to get away from. All
That's
of the
true.
expectations and the pressures and the obligations. And that's no longer there. Now it's like I do whatever I want to do.
Mhm,
And I think some critics might say, well, like if you don't prepare or if you're not like ready for it, then how do you know or how are you going to be in the best position? But I think if you prepare in a general life sense where you have all the virtues and you have all of the values that you need, it really doesn't matter what direction you're going into.
it's so
You'll
true.
be able to excel in that. And I'm just excited to see where our journey takes us over the
Mhm,
next 6 months. Because in the past 6 months, yes, I will agree with you in what you say in terms of like, man, maybe it doesn't feel great because we're not as big as we thought we
mhm,
would be or that we want to be. But
mhm.
I mean, does that really matter? Like,
No.
we just do it doesn't change how we're doing what we're doing and how happy we are doing what we're doing, being able to spend time with us. And you said reflecting earlier, like I take myself on self dates now, like
Mhm.
hashtag self date all the time. And it allows me to self reflect on me and be really proud of who I am as a person, which has come a long way from where I was before. Because I had
Mhm.
a lot of self confidence that I had to work through, and for me to say I'm proud of myself and I'm happy doing what I'm doing, and I am excited to leave behind this work so that my children can see that it's very important to follow your dreams and do what you want to do. Like that's amazing for me to be able to have,
Yeah.
and that's you can't put a price on that. What's been the hardest for you to deal with in terms of working with me?
Ooh. Um, I don't know. I don't think there's been any difficulty because again, we've been friends for a very long time. So
Sometimes that
like
can make it harder though.
no, I go for me. I'm very analytical, right? So I go
Mhm.
into every situation knowing what could and what's gonna happen, right? So I know how you work and I know how you are. So I'm already anticipating it, right? So I wouldn't, I feel like I wouldn't necessarily. I'm not surprised by anything in the
Mhm.
last like so many months,
Okay.
right? I think the only thing that you and I have argued about and talked in depth about is around like my color grading because like I have this very like cinematic eye. I want to make things very dark and tony and have some structure. And she's like, I want things bright and I want things like colored. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not the mood. So you and I would go back and forth all the time about that. And I was just like, I'm like, so found if I went in all the part of with the extra Saturday or for those people love me so and I was like, it's nothing like how we actually with that stuff.
It's not an issue. Okay, the
That's
real
when I
issue.
learned. So now we're
No.
in the middle now.
The
We
real
have come
issue
to a
is
good.
not that. It's not that I like rom-com and you like dark things. It's the fact that you are colorblind. See, this
It's
that's it.
so and I don't have to work like that.
Yeah. I would say I think the difference in that I am very attention to detail and you
I'm not.
are not.
No.
And I think that you know like something. It even so
Even if it's having this whole computer students again, if I want
I know what it is.
if I want to make a production or a film, I have to be very detail oriented.
His desk is so messy and the office is so
It is
messy. Like I have
Beautiful. Look at
things
this.
organized.
Put the camera on and then go like no that by then the creativity's gone. So that's the big thing. I'm all about
I can't even be
efficiency.
creative in this mess.
I'm all about efficiency.
Yeah.
Right? Like we have
This
things
is where
right away. Like I need a battery thing, it's right there. Boom, grab it. See? So
it's on the couch. Like it makes no sense.
it's efficient. Agree to disagree.
Okay, so what questions do you commonly get from our friends and families?
Yeah, I do get a lot of how did you do it?
Okay.
Right. And I get that a lot because a lot of people have that idea in their head.
They want to do it. To take that step.
So I kind of just tell them, okay, well, this is what I mean, unfortunately, I got to a point where I had to do it for my own mental health. But it was a lot of planning. I had a lot of money, luckily for me, saved up from my high paying job.
Yeah.
So I had money saved up to tell my wife and say, you know what, give me a year. We're going to work on this together and we're going to really try to make this a thing. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of my friends, they are able to do it.
Yeah.
But I think they're struggling with the initial fact that, okay, if I quit, what next, right?
Yeah.
And I think for me, the reason why I also told them, like, one of the reasons why I felt very comfortable doing it is because I actually had a partner in crime doing it with me. So, like, you know, people sometimes will quit all of a sudden and then they're like, okay, now I got my own time, but then there's no structure. They don't feel like there's any kind of push because they're pushing themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have something that you are going to be doing it with, then it's like
it makes it fun.
Yeah, it makes it fun, and also it makes you like structured in what you need to do too. So.
I just had a conversation with a close friend, and he wants to venture on his own as well. And he shared with me, he's like, "Man, I wish I had a tapas. Like, it would make things a lot easier." So I think that we are very blessed and fortunate in that we have our partnership to do this. One thing I will add to that, because I do get the same question as well, is that you have to be able to really think about your sacrifice and what you want to give up, right? Because yes, we both did prepare and saved money up, but then once you quit, you also have to realize you can't live that same lifestyle, and you have to be okay with that. And I think that's where a lot of people are like, I can't do it. Yeah. I need my guacamole and avocado. I need to eat out 5 days a week. I need to do all of these things. I need my car payments, all of that. So you have to decide what's really important to you. Whereas for me, both of us, we just really said like the bare minimum, like the living simplicity. We don't need to eat out all the time. Don't need to have fancy stuff anymore. I haven't shopped in so long. But I realize now that I don't need it. And once you live a simplistic life, it's easier to live that way. And realize now, I look back and I'm like, dang, I spent so much money on things that I didn't need.
Yes.
And, you know, it's kind of like the humble living, and I am good with that. But I think that if you're not mentally ready and prepared for it, then it will be hard for you, because you have to prepare to not earn and make money for a couple of years, right? And then live off on what you have and be okay with that.
And I think a lot of times when people will learn, they don't really need that stuff. I think a lot of times we add value and necessity to things that are just a luxury. Yeah. You know?
You have the tattoo memento mori, right? Like just remembering that you're going to die. You could die tomorrow. And then what will that all be for? Like what's the most important thing if you die tomorrow? And it's not the big house or the fancy purses. It's how you lived your life. Were you happy doing what you were doing? And for me, that's what's allowed me to just be so much at peace at what we're doing, regardless of the financial situation, which is like that big hovering thing that
Yes.
a lot of people are like, but you don't make money. What are you doing? And it's like, I'm not making money now,
Hmm.
but the investment in my time and myself and how I'm showing my kids to follow your dreams and do what makes you happy is so much more
Hmm.
valuable. And when it comes down to it, if I need to make money to survive, it's not like we can't
Go
go
back to our
back
jobs. Yeah.
and get a job or do whatever just for money. If that's what it comes to, then
Hmm.
yes, we'll do it. But right now, I think just being able to say that we're investing in ourselves is so much more important. So the next big question that I get often is, so what are you guys working on? What are you doing now?
Ooh, we got a huge project, a huge thing that we're launching next year, January 1st, pretty much, right? I
Yep.
think we're aiming for. We're gonna launch Lions Latitude production and PR. So this is huge for us because it's something that we kind of always talked about, and we always kind of we kind of thought it was gonna happen in the future, but we're like, okay, that's a distant dream. Let's just work on what we're doing now. But now we're already getting an opportunity. We're already putting it into action.
Yeah. And
But
it's because of all the setbacks that it
yes,
happened.
exactly.
Like, and that's why, like, I'm so big on like mistakes and failures. Like,
Hmm.
those are things, obstacles have to happen because as soon as something like that happens, you gotta take it by the reins and be like, what does this mean? What else can I do with this?
Yes.
Or what can I learn from it? Because that's what's allowed us to grow
Yeah.
to what we're gonna be doing next. So we're gonna be launching Lions Latitude.
Hmm.
PR and production, so LLPRP.
Hmm.
I'll be manning mostly the production or the PR part,
Hmm.
and Tapas will be doing the production
Production.
part. So a lot of that is really helping new authors, artists, business entrepreneurs kind of pave their pathway in terms of staying true to their brand and their image. So we're going to help them with that. And the reason why I think that's very important to us is that we see a lot of people go after their dreams, but while they're doing it, they lose who they are in the
Hmm.
process. They do what they think they're supposed to do. They succumb to the pressure and the obligations and expectations. And we're kind of here to help walk and guide through that without all of that exterior noise and helping the person focus on what's really important to them while we take on the logistics and the smaller
Yeah,
stuff, so that they can focus on them and the big stuff. And we do things the way that
I think
is
it's good. Yeah.
is beyond
Yeah.
what you see. So it's really fun for us, and so far it's been fun for our clients as well. So hopefully we get to work with a lot of you guys in
Yes.
the future. But that's what's next for us. We're still going to continue Eat Read Sleep.
Hmm.
That's always our baby, going to be our passion, and we'll still do that. The
Hmm.
goal is to do 1 or 2 books a month still, and then after that, I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Plenty
Yeah.
more that we are aiming for.
So it's an amazing new year. Last 6 months have been great, and then we got a brand new thing happening in 2023. So we're excited for it, and
Yep.
we cannot wait to take you guys along for a ride as well.
Yep. So we'll see you guys. We'll check in 6 months and share how it goes.
All right.
All
Bye,
right.
guys.
Happy New Year's. Take care, guys. Bye. All right. You ready?
I'm ready. What are we talking about again? What are we saying?
Who are you?
What are we talking about? Oh, 6 month look back. I totally forgot what we were doing. Sorry. 6
Story of my
months.
life. And break. Just me, but I guess.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
I don't know.